My next guest is a diplomat and national security expert who's worked for 2 presidents and has just written a memoir called Tough Love. Please welcome former National Security Advisor and Ambassador Susan Rice. Nice to talk to you as myself. We talked once in 2011, but I'm not sure that guy I used to play liked you that much.
I doubt he did.
Yeah.
He wasn't so nice.
No, he was perfectly nice. You guys just disagreed politically.
All right, yes.
Well, listen, you're a perfect person to have on right now. Obama's National Security Advisor for 4 years. Our present president has just announced a withdrawal of U.S. troops from Syria, allowing Turkey to come in and really have their way with the Kurds, who they label a terrorist organization. What does this mean to stability in that region?
Stephen, I woke up this morning to hear that news, and as I do, it seems like 6 days a week, I just put my head in my hands. This is bat crazy. It's just...
Now, for those of us who may not have followed the role of the Kurds in helping us fight against ISIS, why is it?
Let me explain it.
Why is it?
Because these are the people who, for the last 4 years, have been fighting on our behalf with our equipment to defeat ISIS. And they have done it with enormous efficacy, and they've sacrificed immensely. And we basically just said to them, see ya. And let the Turks, who are like the hungry wolf trying to kill the lamb, go for it. And it's just appalling because, you know, we promised them our partnership. And we promised them that if they worked with us to defeat our common enemy, but particularly, you know, the United States and the Western enemy, then we would stand with them. And Trump woke up on the wrong side of the bed, it appears, and decided, never mind, which is why finally the Republicans in Congress have gotten a pulse today.
Even Mitch McConnell has come out against this movement. Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, people on Fox and Friends were against it, God help us.
Imagine.
And, well,
it must be really bad.
I'm not in there with the president making these decisions. Have you heard any rationale being given for it? Because I don't quite understand how he's justifying this. Have you heard what his justification is?
There's no justification that you or I would understand. He seems to be trying to couch this in, we've been at war too long, you know, I'm sick and tired of all this, somebody else should take up the burden, bye.
But that's not a bad argument on a certain level, because America has been at war for a long time,
well, first of
2001.
all, but these are different wars, to be precise. This is a war that we have been involved in very smartly through these partners. The American service members are not in combat on the ground in Syria in any meaningful way. They have been advising and supporting these very brave Kurdish allies who have taken the fight effectively to ISIS on our behalf. That's a smart way to fight terrorism. And, you know, that's what we started and that's what we pursued during the Obama administration. Trump continued it. And at some point, I guess he decided that he'd had enough. But the problem is, ISIS is still there. And when they come back, and when those prisoners that the Kurds have been holding on our collective behalf get released, supposedly into Turkish hands, those are terrorists that are going to come back and try to harm us and try to harm our European allies.
The National Security Council staff is going to be cut, Trump announced. He's going to be cutting the National Security Council staff. Will we be less safe if that happens?
Well, if Trump just gives an edict, cut it arbitrarily and, you know, by some radical amount, it will be dangerous and it will be detrimental. It's one thing to rationally and wisely reallocate staff and do a thoughtful downsizing. That's what I did under the Obama administration. By the way, not directed by the President of the United States, I did it myself because I thought we could rebalance some jobs here, put more there, take some from here. What Trump did apparently was get angry at the career professionals who work at the National Security Council and said, you know, off with their heads.
The whistleblower reportedly was an intel official assigned to the NSC. The president says the whistleblower is a spy. Does that description make any sense to you?
No, I mean, it's part of denigrating the loyal Americans who are still serving in our government, thank God. Mm-hmm. It is one's responsibility as a public servant, if you see something wrong or illegal or otherwise immoral, to report it. And if serving your country and prioritizing, you know, the interests of the American people above the interest of an individual leader, even if he's the president, constitutes spying, then, you know, I think that tells you all you need to know about Donald Trump. He has equated himself with the state. And therefore, Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff and anybody who questions the legality of his actions is, by definition, a spy or a traitor. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Nice guy. Are there any times that you've agreed with the president on his foreign policy? What about when he ordered airstrikes against Syrian military installations after Assad used chemical weapons against his people again?
I agreed with that decision to use force, which was a very limited set of strikes, and in fact, I'd advocated for that during the Obama administration. And President Obama decided that before he would do that, he thought it was best to get congressional authorization, which ended up not being forthcoming. And then he worked to get a deal with the Russians that actually got 1,300 metric tons of chemical weapons out of Syria. When the Syrians again used chemical weapons and demonstrated that either they all didn't come out or they made some new ones, I didn't disagree with President Trump's decision to use force. But the problem was, it was one and done. He used force. He didn't back it up with diplomacy. He could have played, and it's so unfortunate because he's perfect at this. He could have played in 2017 the crazy aunt in the attic, at which point nobody in the world knew what he might do, and put the fear of God into the Syrians and the Russians that this might be the beginning of something really serious. And instead, he had his senior officials go out the next day and say, thank you very much, that was all well and good night. And didn't follow up, did the same thing in 2018 with no follow-up. So we all felt good for 24 hours. Hey, we stood up, we dropped some bombs on the Syrians. But at the end of the day, every single ounce of chemical weapons that was in there on the day we struck, if not more, is still in there today. So I prefer, at the end of the day, President Obama's approach.
We have to take a break, but we're right back with more former National Security Advisor Susan Rice and Tough Love.